No more living in this disagreeable way. No. So I guess I'll have to say to you, we're on our way. He who knows is he who feels. Striking to break free from illusions to a dream. Trying to realize you image of yourself. You gotta know your true worth and your worth. Rise up and be strong. On and the infinite mind is in all things. Deep within your deeper self, where everything begins. There can be no other savior than yourself. Such deep love for yourself. Rise up and free your mind. Reality of our true self. From my father heels, I said he knows as he
Brother Siayome, you're live. Welcome. Brother Siayome, can you hear me? It's Saad here. Hello, Brother Siayome. We're ready. Hello. Are you on mute, Brother Siayome? Because we can't hear you. Hello. Hello, Brother Siayome.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're loud and clear now. Yep.
Wow, there was just some stuff I had to do technical. I was using brilliant.
Okay, welcome, and I wish you well on your show. The New Year's approaching, so you're gonna go. I guess I don't know if you're gonna go right to the midnight, but yeah, have a great show.
Thank you very much, Sard. Okay, we're gonna talk soon, yeah.
Talk care. Yes, definitely. Take care.
Okay, bro. All right. Yes. Greetings, y'all. You're back again to another evening of Cosmic Roots Show with Brother Siayome. Cosmic Roots, reality of one's true self. And yes, you're tuned in to Bless Radio 1. For all of those of you who are listening in or want to tune in live, you should be able to tune into, go to YouTube, tap on to Bless Radio 1, and you should be able to listen to the recording or the live show right now. So Happy New Year is the chant of the day, because yes, we are on New Year's Eve. We're approaching after midnight the new year. The new year that initiates a new beginning. So I'm going to be talking about this whole year in energetic spiritual term, and I suppose to focus on the new year, which is a new cycle. And before I go on, just to say that you can also tune in via the TuneIn app, or you can connect on the internet via typing in blessradio.co.uk. All right. And just thinking of any other things to announce before I go into the dive of this night's show. So, to soul brothers and sisters out there, greetings. So I'm going to be taking my time through this, about this new cycle, and that, hang on a minute, I got sitting in with me at the moment. This is my son here before he heads out, and I'm doing the show from my home. So you want to say hi, son? Just say greetings to our fellow soul brothers and sisters out there.
Yes, greetings. Hello, everyone. I'll be here for a while, not too long, but I'll be here before I head out, and I'm interested to see where this goes today.
All right. See, you may kind of spark up some questions on me. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, one and all, we are in this New Year's Eve. So we're having a completion of a year, and we're entering into the year 2020. I did a show last strong, which never managed to get recorded, and I broke down the whole aspect of these last 20 years, when I was correlating these from the year 2000. I was correlating the years with the 22 major arcane of the tarot deck, and from 0 to 20, there's 21, but I went up to 20 because we have 2020 coming up. So I was correlating the major arcane of the tarot cards with each year, and they were corresponding. But I may touch into that in the middle of the show somehow, just to give a refresher for who didn't hear it last Tuesday. But we're in a new cycle here, and some people would say, based on the calendar and the whole thing about the year 2019, how can we only be in 2019 to 2020 of years? I mean, this planet's existed a long time, more than that. We as beings here on this planet have been on this planet for millions, if not billions of years. And so what year really is it, So we do have that discrepancy where people would be saying that the year doesn't begin until, January something, or, or your solar return, because everybody's got a solar return you call a birthday. And that would be your what you call your new year, okay? Because you've completed a cycle, a whole year, and you're now another year progressed within the chronology of how things are measured in this dimension, 3D, of how we deal with what we call time and space. And so there's this different ways we can be referring to what we call the new year, all right? But the point is that you're dealing with an ending of one cycle and a beginning of another, no matter what way you want to look at it. Even if you wanted to wait for spring, and we talk about, well, until spring comes around, you wouldn't really say that we're in the new year. Well, I would like to prefer to say it so it's in a more of a broader term. We're in a new cycle. And whatever way you want to look at that, you can't refute that. So we are in a new cycle. So this new cycle means there has to be a letting go of the old. And this year has been a major letting go. It's like give an analogy of the soil. There's a term in Jamaica where it said the dirty tough, meaning the land is hard, and say you can't plant seeds in hard ground. This is the reason why you need to cultivate the soil. So you do that by digging up the hard and turn it over, the hard part of the soil that's been sun-baked. You dig it up, turn it over to reveal the soft, receptive portion of the soil and to remove stones and thorns and weeds and all other mannerisms of things that could get in the way and of the receptivity of the seed. Yeah, the seeds for the new growth that you want to the soil to give birth to. So it's kind of like this year has been an intense turning over them stones, deconditioning and letting go of a lot of outmoded thought patterns, and letting go of a lot of ancestral trauma. And a lot of things, when we talk about ancestral trauma, we're talking about, as part of natural evolution, we have things passed on to us, hereditary. And these are memories, okay? These are beliefs. These are feelings. We also pass over feelings, emotional bodies, pain bodies, of our ancestors, those who were before us. And a lot of that stuff, when we think about ancestors, are the things that we need to grow beyond. We need to be the ones that go beyond the fears and the limitations of the beliefs and the experiences that has gone before, okay, in order to grow and expand in our soul's evolutionary stage and cycle and process. There's more to you than just the surface eye that we use to identify or give us identity. So the ancestral trauma is about letting go of a lot of very outmoded thought patterns, pain bodies, letting go of, and when I say letting go, I don't mean like you just letting go of this, letting go of that. Circumstances in one's life, we're bringing vents up to make one readdress and reevaluate themselves and the other people in their lives and their position in their lives and your position in theirs, and where you want to go and where you want to be in the sense of, you know, your own, a deeper calling in yourself. You know, for many years I've been one to walk my own path, and I still am that, you know. But this year, and with what everything's culminated, like if I go into the cosmic planetary energies and forces here at the moment, we've just come out of a solar eclipse last Tuesday. Okay, so we had a solar eclipse in Capricorn. We've had new moon, okay, in Capricorn. We've had Jupiter enter into Capricorn. We have Jupiter conjunct the sun, the moon. You know, we've had some strong amplification, bringing in new energy and more expansion and development. But on the 12th of January 2020 is when we're going to have Saturn make the exact conjunction to Pluto. And if you have been tuning into my earlier shows, you'd hear that I've made some made some talk about, you know, the energies to be expected or to be initiated at that culmination point of the conjunction of Saturn to Pluto. So it's like there's a closing gate and also judgment is commenced, you know. And this is on the show which is called Time, my gosh, what did I call my show then? It was The Harvest. Time, Cycles and Harvest, something like Saturn, Time, and the Harvest. Go check it out, because that show is going to be dealing with the 12th of January when I'm telling you about that conjunction. So everything, what's been building up and amplifying is towards a serious letting go of what no longer can be brought forward, letting go of the past, the old structures in thought, letting go of our past limitations and fears, in order for us to grow into the more of whom and what we are is than what we're presently experiencing. So these energies has been like waves, and these waves, like in an ocean, can get bigger and bigger, and they build and they build, and how waves interact and interface with other waves, and this is how you get the buildup of waves. So this is why everything has been very emotionally intense. And there's so much stuff popping off in different countries, very volatile stuff going on in Jamaica. I was just listening to some stuff a few days ago with just this on the level of what's happening based on how people are acting out and doing things that endanger other people's lives just to take what they have. And you know, this stuff's been going on for, you know, a long time. It's not just this year and so forth. But we are at a time where everything is being so amplified that so much of the toxicity that has to be purged out of us, out from society as a collective. Because you can say on the group collective level, collective consciousness, we're dealing with like tribal or group consciousness, okay? And then we also have to be aware of the individual, okay? And this is where things really start to play out. Because on the collective level, you're going to see what's going on in the news and what's happening. Earthquakes here, volcanoes there, fires here, fires in different capacities, literal fires with forests and the Amazon stuff you hear, but fire also in the street with people's inner fires. You know, acting out, kicking off, the stuff reflecting the limited beliefs the limitations and the fears people still hold on to and identify with, the egocentric attachment and identification with the surface I, all of the reactions, rebelling from trauma and so forth. And it's not trivializing the tribulations and the pains and, people go through and experience, because we know we're living in a system which is very, the systematic oppression and manipulation. Not gonna ignore that. But the thing is, that systematic oppression of a system and a society that also conditions and systematically shapes, depending on the theme, depending on the cultural society you're born into, your forms born into, your perception is being shaped and conditioned to assimilate within an illusion, within a matrix, as they call it, which is for your mind, which is really what the system is all about. Controls you through your perception, through TV, media, history, the narratives of the past, that is also there to really manipulate, because a lot of folk weren't around in certain times, in a sense, to remember things, to how they react to certain story narratives. And I did mention this thing about Harriet Tubman movie that was recently out. There's depictions in that movie that had nothing to do with the real situation. There was no real friend that this woman had, best friend that they had there, and this bounty hunter, a black guy running and chasing her down. These are added on. These are things that people are making up, directors, whatever, storytellers. And the thing is, it influences the way people perceive history and believe that's true. So then you're going to take in all of that stuff to shape your perception about yourself. And really, it's a narrative. It's not true, but people believe things. And believe, I have used this term just to kind of keep it simple in my other shows, when we're saying about the beliefs we hold and why we have to expand and really examine what we're carrying, because we're on a plane that manifests our beliefs. And but belief really is that you don't know. And we're living in a time where the cycle has changed. We're moving out of one era of time into another era. And that era is the time of Aquarius, which represents to know, I know, which is why there's the outpouring, inundation of information. Technology is just gone wild. And, you can get online now PDF versions of books that would have cost you 500, 400 pounds in a day. And you'd have to go to certain specialized bookstores that, deal with certain of these, kind of natured books and information. And you'd have to go seek that stuff out and do your journey, and have to maybe even be a member of a certain, board, committee, or whatever group to even have access to that type of books and information. Now, you can get this stuff, download PDF. This is what I'm saying about technology and the inundation of information, because this is the time of Aquarius, because it's the knowledge of self to set you free. And this is beyond your melanin content and amount one has that we could, use to define one's identity, or the amount one doesn't have. These things are superficial. But based on the narratives we believe, and based on, the experiences and how, history has been played, and things that has contributed into the cause and effect of the way we experiencing life now in different countries. I mean, look what's happening with the government. I don't like getting political, but what's going on with over here with Brexit, what's going on over America with the Trump impeachment, whatever, what's going on in different countries, Africa and so forth, with a lot of the government infrastructure. A lot of this stuff is also getting torn down. Certain things ain't working anymore. A lot of things are getting revealed, brought out to the public, to really challenge your beliefs. What the heck you thought was so, ain't so? And believing means you don't know, you see. And this is the reason why it's, Sagittarius, which represents belief. Jupiter governs Sagittarius, is why the mantra or the word of power to do with Sagittarius is I seek. You must seek to know the truth, not just take on the belief systems that you've been plugged into without your consent as a child, or not taking the responsibility of when you're grown up, more into adolescence, to question those beliefs, because you're now responsible for yourself more than just, putting food in your own mouth and just washing yourself and looking after your body.
Can I just ask something?
Yes, speak in there.
Okay, so basically, right? So something that's been in my in my attention for a while was Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
Right, so with Mercury retrograde, I feel like in the water signs, I've built up a lot of when you use the analogy of turning the soil.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of uproar to shake people's awareness, challenge the structures that people reside on.
Yeah.
And in order to show them that if you believe this is secure, this is a structure that is viable long term, keeping in mind this is not a linear experience, then you will see each and every one for themselves will be able to relate in reference to whether a change, a drastic change, or deep reflection and things from the past, from childhood, coming up to be reevaluated and questioned and put in perspective, to let go, And I feel like this whole year has been, like a marathon, and you're running, and then those people that hand out water. Yeah, grab a water. Yeah, okay, cool. But yeah, you keep on running, and you're getting a bit, hot, and then you see another person standing there with a water bottle. And that's how it's felt.
Yeah.
And the further along the path, this year that that for personally, I can only speak from my experience.
Yeah.
But speaking with people in my circle, there's been similar experiences. The belief systems, certain belief structures will not support you moving forward. And it depends where you want to be. It depends what you're really seeking. And
So when you were saying, where you came in, like this is something you would like to ask, really, it's the insight of your own experience you're sharing here, as you're just saying, and what you've observed through your sojourn.
Yeah, you can say that. Well, that is
because what you're saying, you're going to come to realize, as you said, that the retrograde in the Mercury, your mental apparatus, and in it going retrograde at that time, which is basically, within Scorpio, it's about going deeper into yourself and analyzing your own psychology, the framework of the framework of your thoughts, because your belief system becomes a framework. That's why it's called a system. So it's a system of what your thoughts have been based around, that you fused into a belief system that you use to which determines how one interprets life. Okay, and operates exactly, and behaves. So yeah, as you were saying, that there was a realization that through this, certain belief systems are not going to support the direction of growth that the soul wants to be heading.
And the crux of this all, is being true to you. But you have to know you. You need to know who you are to be true to that who you are. And allowing yourself to get to know yourself is the best thing anyone could do for themselves. And if you feel you know yourself fully,
you know, each and every one will, I can't speak for anyone else.
Yeah.
I can't speak for anyone else. But, you know, there's a general theme, you know, I feel that, you know, people are reevaluating themselves, who they are, how they perceive themselves. Because if your perception of yourself is based upon a belief, then when that belief is challenged, you are challenged. And that's not, how can that be? How can your true self be challenged? Like,
Yeah, I get you. I mean,
it's all about perception of yourself, and I feel this
is coming back. Yeah, it's coming to this and becoming more realized now, I suppose. Because through repetition, you see, you know, things start to eventually hit home. But there is still a lot of resistance. You mentioned about, you know, to allow yourself to get to know yourself is the greatest thing you could do for yourself. And allowing is also like acceptance, you know, allowing to accept, to be in a state of self-acceptance. I mean, what is it about ourself that we accept or don't accept? And what we accept or don't accept still anchors around or pivots around our self-concept, what we hold as a belief about who we are, what we believe to be so true, you know, what formulates your identity. It's you know, a belief system is very deep because it's not just whether you believe, you know, all right, something genetic like white is better than black, or blue is better than brown, or purple is better than yellow.
or a Ford is a Bentley's better than a Ford, or Gucci is better than Primark. You know, all of these things.
You know, a belief system is going very much deeper, and it's those kind of beliefs that, for example, you know, are limiting beliefs, because those things that just have one. This is the parameters very narrow. You know, the thing is, there's a lot of things that this year has brought up that has made you have to strip away things and get really deep to the core, you know. Is there something else you wanted to say, though?
Now, it's because based upon my age group, the way that I relate to this,
that's
mid
20s.
The way that I relate to this is very, is you know, I see it from a different perspective. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like with beliefs, I feel like, and when I say a different perspective, it's ultimately it's all one perspective, but it's a different stage in the process. For in contrast to someone who may have more life experience and has done the work or hasn't done the work, you know, and then it just varies. But from where I'm from, what, you know, where I'm standing, belief is, there's a lot of exposure. There's a lot of exposure, and there's a lot of people doing things that are challenging people's perceptions, people's beliefs, people's values, right? But what's happening, I feel, is there's almost like a mass of sheep who, you know, there's beliefs there.
Or goats. Because goats are quite stubborn.
But sheep, as in the sense that
just follow.
Yeah, what is being pushed out there is woke, or pushed out there is conscious. And without, you know, there's still a level of duality, rejecting negative aspects, so-called negative aspects. And this is a belief, yeah, that I feel is detrimental to a oneness. Because, you know, and this is where each one has to go within themselves and deal with that within themselves, you know, to understand how this can be. You know, how you can believe in the light and the love, and also believe in the in dark, so called, you know, put these things, these expressions into word, but believe in the dark and the you know, the unknown, or the dangerous, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But these are all expressions, right? These are all experiences, and there are many experiences that many other people could tell you that you've never had. So how can you place your belief upon a limited experience? You have to know, you need to tap into something that is like the fault line that runs through all experiences. You know, and this is how, and in order to, you know, cultivate this kind of perception or a perspective or belief structure or system, continual beliefs have to be broken and tried and broken and tried and broken and tried and broken and tried to see through. And there has to be a yearning, there has to be a wanting, there has to be a need. You know, so with the whole belief, and you know, there isn't really a question. I feel like the start marks set up, and, you know, the race, not even a race, but the journey is already on, you know, it's on way, and people who are
already in motion.
You know, like, serious. Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's about growth and expanding your consciousness, and limiting beliefs restrict that growth, restricts that expansion. And if we're perceiving or interpreting life based upon the limited beliefs we hold, and not even knowing, even if anything based on any fact or truth to support the belief, only maybe one story or some biased idea. The thing is that that stagnates your growth, you know, and it also makes people very resistant to change. And you said something earlier about when people, so much things is happening. There's another way of looking at the things happening in the world right now, as you're seeing your beliefs and your values being challenged, because the reactions that come up from within ourselves, emerge from within, when you're facing or hearing or reading something on social media, you know, seeing stuff, it all brings up a kind of reaction, and different reactions in people, and some are quite collective group kind of reactions. That's very, you know, it brings up a lot of pain and trauma, anger, a lot of discomfort, if I put it that way. Or some feel that, yeah, you know, it brings out some rejoice or something, because they feel they're finally seeing things that's been suppressed coming out more, in order for people to know, you know. At the same time, all of the stuff that is being revealed is challenging your perception of yourself in the world.
Can I just interject?
Yeah, sure.
It's also to help you, you know, realize what is essentially who you are and what is not. Because what you're given is not who you are. You was born, and you have, you know, for those who have a cognitive, you know, regular cognitive function, they're able to reflect and discern and use their, you know, you know, come on, if you wasn't born with it, you have to really take your time with it, because you need to know what it is, and you need to know how it relates with you. Although that is you know, that's like on the ground view, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, on the ground view. Whereas you can then realize that to go on and realize what it's all, you know, we go through cycles, and there's part of you, it's also about, you know, compassion for yourself and love for yourself, and realizing, you know what, you are multifaceted. You know, you have different expression, you know, that you have many expressions. You know, and it's all about presence and becoming more aware and more present, to get to know more of who you know, not even to get to know, but to be more present with yourself.
It's interesting, because with the question, there needs to be a question, who am I? I mean, that's where it begins, when beliefs get challenged that take you down certain tunnels, or through certain interactions, certain experiences in your inner world. There must come a point where you're gonna to ask the pertinent question, the most pertinent question of all: who am I? Who am I beyond the stories that I've been holding? Who am I beyond the beliefs that I've bought into? Who am I beyond what people I've associated with has said about me or said about you? Or, because you can get conditioned and obtain beliefs from various different people. It's not just what we pick up from family conditioning or, you got society, but you also got the people, partners you may have been with, friends, peer groups. People are getting conditioned in all these different ways. And there comes to a point where, I would say these crisis points that we all experience, that question, who am I? Why? And what am I doing? Why do I, questioning yourself, because that's who you're questioning. A lot of us are in quest. Quest is question. Quest is someone who's seeking. You're on the quest. You're in quest of something, a journey to discover. You're seeking, in order to know what, know who you are. But we think that's not what it essentially is, but it is. So it's like we can cut to the chase and get to that ultimate question: who am I? When you begin to ask that question, it kind of makes you question all of the beliefs you carry.
Yeah, and that can be daunting.
It can be daunting, and it can be what you call scary to some.
It's almost like pulling the rug underneath someone.
Yeah, pulling the rug from under their feet, as they say. But it is a question that is very necessary. If one is to grow out of the limitations and fears that hold one back from further growth and expansion and development in themselves, to the more of you and the greater granderness that is within you to unfold and emerge and express itself, in order to feel fulfilled in a way that is more satisfying to who you are at the core level, that is not dependent upon or measured based upon the acquirement of some possession or some possession or position, in the society or in a group that your sense of self-worth and recognition is dependent upon the validation of others.
Can I just interject?
Yeah, sure.
And just to share a thought that came up. With the value, so basically, it's like all of this, by trying to hold on to an identity, this is, I feel, it comes down to your identity as well, perception of yourself, belief system, who am I? These questions are fundamental, core questions. Questions that you don't play with, you don't just dismiss.
For your age group, within 25 to what we were saying now, I'm trying to think.
25 to 30.
To 32, around 33. Yeah?
25, no, my age group is from, I'm not even too sure, my generation.
Yeah, generation would be about 25, from 25 to 33. Yeah, your generation of vibration. Those who came in with Pluto and Scorpio. How would you, I mean, look, these things is affecting, or people are, this, how would you say for your age group, the peers you have, the way this spiritual or this whole thing about consciousness and expanding and the values that the youths, you would say, of your generation seem to be following, or what would you say they're waking up to? Would you say more waking up to the things you're woken up to? Or would you, how would you...
Obviously, I can't speak for everyone.
I know that. But as just a generational kind
Well,
of.
I can from this. All right, cool. When you talk about conditioning, a certain age group gets a different type of conditioning, a social conditioning, than another. So when I was a little child, when I was 7, my social conditioning would be different to my conditioning now, of social conditioning. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What I'm expected to conform to, what I'm expected to believe. So it's all about navigating the so-called system. Yeah. But it's not even that. It's navigating, trying to find yourself within the illusion, because it's almost like everyone's searching for some form of meaning, some form of purpose and value, and although it may be perceived as, not may be perceived, but although everyone has different ideas or may have different ideas on what that may feel or look like for them, there's still an underlying current of expansion, of the yearning for something new, something more. And I feel, there may be an aspect of oneself that might feel like this is fulfilled outside of themselves, that this purpose, this value, this something more is outside of themselves, but it's not. And as much as painful as it may it may be to look at that at times, or possibly, if you go within, you get everything anyways. But because it's the unknown and you're familiar with what you know, or what you're familiar with, it's like, because you don't, like, people aren't genuinely brought up to know certain things about who they truly are. So their whole identity is based upon something that is external to them, and they relate through the medium of that, and I can't obviously again speak for everyone, but my peer groups, like for instance where I grew up, who I went to school with, my social, or throughout the time, my social circles, as they've changed, and as a reflection of my my growth, my journey, it's just being aware that things don't change, things always change, things are not, things outside of yourself will always change, and there's things within yourself that you may feel are you, but if they change, they're not you. Your thoughts are not you. Your emotions are not you. You have many sayings of people like to hold on to quotes, because it's useful. It's like a mantra. And these are things that I'm coming to realize people are doing, whether they're aware of it or not. This is it, the yearning to, and it's something that's happening. You can't stop it. You can either embrace it, or you can be used for it, but not be conscious of it, and that's when you're resisting it, and that's when you get the struggle. But either way, you're going to be used to fulfill the highest purpose in some way, and it's literally about, I just feel there needs to be a deeper quest, a deeper quest, and there needs to be a collective deeper quest.
I love that. A deeper quest, a collective deeper quest. Yeah, definitely. You see, that's also, you can see the energies facilitating that, which when you mentioned about the retrogrades that we've been having, and that was through the sign of some Scorpio, right? That we had this year, 2019, which is closing up in a few hours. There's this deeper quest, what you just said. I very much, I feel this is where the emotional intensity is really coming from, to pull you to a deeper quest, because to the deep I. beyond this surface identification, this exterior attachment and so forth. He was saying where so much of the peer groups, and I would also say, as much as your own peer group, between the 20s, in middle 20s to early 30s, very much orientated externally. I feel it's been an epidemic thing for generations. When you really check how, we're looking outside of ourselves for, which to me is the surface eye, is the surface. And you use the term deeper quest, and it's like, absolutely, because this is what is being very much encouraged. And the resistance, you see, it's even to the point where the resistance, putting up resistance in this day and time becomes, you find that makes things even, it doesn't go away. You can resist it, but it's not going away. And because this force is emerging from within, and everyone's feeling it. It's just what programs are running into how they're reacting from old past conditionings. And it's about going beyond all of that, where these energies is pushing us all to, these higher energies. There's so much to distract people, again, by what's going on outside in politics and within the news media, and still the manipulation of the stuff, but the antics of people in various countries. Where, it's just amplifying a lot of the fear and anger, people, this thing, there's limits, there's limits people are experiencing where people are rebelling and taking things in their own way. But at the same time, all of this is challenging, again, as you said earlier, about your belief systems and what you believe reality to be, and what you think is right, and what you think is fair, or what you think power is. What is being empowered? Because all these themes are really coming up: identity, self-empowerment, safety, security, love, attachments. It's who and basically it's all about that deeper quest, because this is what it's all opening you up for. So these energies that we have, a stellium in Capricorn here, and it's interesting because Capricorn is a feminine sign, and while this festivities, people are building up to it, it's like the ritual. You've done it last year, you did it the year before, you did a year before that, it goes on. And how you experience this quote unquote new year was different than years before. Everyone's weren't the same necessarily. No two experiences is the same anyway. Yeah. But the point is that this particular year, I've been noticing a lot more people feeling to go within and be more. This deeper quest.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about cutting people off.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about cutting folk off, and this whole year has been about rearranging your whole value system, your boundaries, readdressing.
It's just changing your vibrations.
It is about changing your vibrations. The thing is, like, talking on a level where people are on different levels, as we understand. We use them words, but that's what it is. But a lot of folk, again, it's Capricorn, for example. We got all the stellium in there. We're talking about the new year and what this year has been bringing up for many. And my son here, who's speaking not for every one of his peer group, but speaking from a generation that is 2 generations after mine, okay, and how they're experiencing the energies of this time. And it's just showing you how this stuff is so real, because the times I was growing up, we couldn't have. I mean, look, man, you didn't have terminologies that you have now. You didn't have various platforms. You didn't have freedom of access of information that you have now. We didn't have no Google. You didn't have no YouTube. You didn't have platforms where people would stand. You'd have people speaking on various topics dealing with the deeper journey within the deeper. It was present. These stuff was around, but they were more in book form when I was growing up. Old tape formats, and I was growing up in an analog time. Yeah. Whereas the generation, 2 generations after me, were growing up within one at the beginning of the digital, and the ones boom right in it, in the middle of it, yeah, which is your generation. And so the awakening, if I use this term, because it is about because really, awakening can be used in a way that, look, until you awaken, until you is a means of unconsciousness, you know. You're not awake, so it's like you're walking around. You're living in a form of unconsciousness. You see, to the reality of the illusions that the society, the world you're calling real, is based upon, and then waking up is where you're now becoming conscious of what you were unconscious of before. To realize, hang on a minute, this isn't, you know. This is not natural, yeah. The way the system is. Go on.
What came to mind was the balance of the masculine and feminine.
The balance between the masculine and the feminine, the inner and the outer.
Especially, you see, you see that it's like, in order to have a whole, yeah. When you're dealing with 2 halves, you need to deal with the 2 halves. You can't just deal with one. So. And this is nowhere. This is not outside of yourself. You know, this is within. Everyone has masculine and feminine, right? Cool.
That's right.
So, understanding how that relates to you, how, you know, everyone's at different places with these expressions or these energies within or these energies that they experience is fluctuating. You know. So, yeah, that's something to take in. Don't be too quick to, because there's a lot of people talking about, you know, that I see fluctuation, and you know, the best, not even the best, but the quickest way to receive, you know, a trend is go on social media and check it out and see what's popping, see what's the trend, see what meme gets sent around how many times, what you actually start hearing people subscribing to and believing, and actually modeling their day-to-day activities around memes that reinforces a lack of inquiry and introspection. Yeah, that gives them a scapegoat to say, do you know what, I'll take that revelation, although it wasn't mine and I don't know the full extent of it, I'll take that because I don't want to do the work. Yeah. You know, and it's again, it's no judgment, it's none of that, but it's you know,
it's observation. It's
an observation.
It's what's going on. We have to be real with that. Some people are taking up, and that's how they get influenced.
But I mean, the process, there's no judgment in the process, because the process, ultimately, this is why you need to get to know yourself, so more than define yourself first and foremost. Yeah, in the sense that you're not going to just easily take on a template that someone has given to you. So you need to know your unique signature.
Yeah.
And then from there, you got a template to kind of measure other things up. Like, boy, you know, does this resonate? It doesn't resonate. Does it resonate? You know, and you get to know different, you know, abilities that you have to discern reality. You know, and it's getting to know this inner working, you know, to be able to navigate. So in the process of building this is a process. So there's no judgment, because it's necessary to build that, you know, that faculty, to build that understanding to operate from, or to, you know, to draw upon. But so, you know, there's the process, because ultimately then you start to realize that, you know, as I said earlier, it's not a linear journey. And this is a belief that locks many people in. Good luck. I was born and I'm gonna die, right? And that is the end of my being. That's the end of my presence. And well, if you know, that's the days are gone where I would challenge. The days are gone where I debate that with someone, because that's no longer, those days are done. You know, so the beliefs. So it's very much those who, you know, how am I gonna draw this in?
It's okay, man. We got the time. We got the space.
So it's like, in order to, I feel like you have to have a bigger picture. So when you're dealing with a smaller picture, you know there's a bigger picture. You know, so you're not so hard on yourself. So you're not so, you know, so you allow yourself to grow and change, and you know, because if you're just identifying with a smaller picture, then, you know, you're in prison. So you got to identify with a bigger picture.
Yeah.
As well as a smaller picture, and realize the duality. There is no duality, because it's one in one.
Yeah.
One in all, you know, and this is
all in one, one in all.
And this comes more back to the feminine, I believe, the emotional, the supportive of oneself. Whereas we can be very masculine, you know, go get that, go do this, mental, you know. But there's you know, the feminine within people. I can't speak for everyone. I can also only speak for myself experience, from my experience, you know. And you know, empath and empathic. Yeah, like there's many vehicles people can use to, you know, help them gain a better grasp on what's going on and what's happening beyond what you see. You know, and that's very important as well. Do you put your trust in what you see?
You see?
And it's like, or is there a different seeing?
Go deeper, exactly. Is there a different seeing?
You know, and is that concept, that belief as well, there's many things. So, and I'm very much on this journey like everybody else is on this journey, you know. So I'm only sharing what, you know, parts and aspects of my understanding, you know.
Well, it's amazing, because for myself, you know, decades, you know, I'm looking at 30 years before now, how things so differently were. Couldn't talk about these things as openly as such, and there wasn't so much people who were, you know, even feeling these waves as, you know, as many who are feeling the intensities of these waves now, to be even having these kind of discussions, you know, having these levels of awareness. So it shows for myself how things in years past before to now, I've lived long enough to see how even predictions have come true. See certain things I saw back then times, and took 20 years, 30 years for that stuff to become now, like, you know, people who have platforms to speak these things out are now saying. What I was gonna, you know, because we're on this thing here, you know, but the thing is, there's also this other side of it, where there's also, because the changes that have to take place is also being hijacked with a lot of people who want to make out that they're spiritual, but they're not coming from the experience of what comes through doing that work, you know, coming from that connection within. It's like there's a lot of spiritual egocentric stuff, differently to the time I was growing up. Because you got these platforms for people to want to appear to be special because they don't want to be ordinary. Again, the belief in being ordinary. What is ordinary? We are all special in our own unique way, because we are all unique individuations of the all originating creative source, creative principle, what you want to call it, what you want labels you want to put on it, because it goes beyond all names and forms anyhow. But being an individuated expression of source makes you unique in your own self, where it's not a thing that you need to try to make yourself special because you don't want to be ordinary like everybody else. That's a belief coming from, again, a lesser knowledge of who we are, based on, again, because this is around coming back to the beliefs, the indoctrinations, what we hold on to. Why this whole year has been really ripping stuff up, ripping stuff up to stretch you to that next level. And for some people, this stuff they're at the early stages of where they're going to experience a lot of discomfort. Not that that's what I'm wishing for, folk, but because of, the process. You walked through the thing yourself. When you walk this process for, there's people who's walked this process longer than myself. But I can say 4 decades, to be consciously tuning into various things, to be making sense of my own journey, my own path, knowing myself as I do now. So just kind of, putting this discussion in the context of this new year, as we're coming to the end and the close of it, and how this year, 2019, has been quite an illuminating year. Sure. And illuminating not as in, pleasurable type of things of what's being revealed, but illuminating nevertheless. And illuminating also in what realizations through the expansion in your consciousness, through the experiences that one has had to contend with this year, that has also illuminated you've increased the light or the illumination, the brightness within your own spiritual heart of your own soul. That has also been taking place in this time throughout this year too. Not that the other years things hasn't been happening, but we're moving to a culmination point as you're dealing with nothing is static. So we're dealing with a continuation of a theme that's building up to a crescendo to move into the next octave of itself, like musical notes. So to have a new year means that it's about stepping into a new cycle where we are growing, we are to go beyond or recognize that through this experience, through the journey, that you wouldn't really be of the same persuasion that you were before. You would be by now in a place where you have dissolved certain, various limiting beliefs, things you've recognized that has come up based on the people you've been, what you've been facilitating, how you've been discerning what is right for you to what's not really right for you, how you've been discerning whom more you really are to whom and what you really are not. I'm generalizing because the scenario that's going to be a catalyst in your lives to bring up the drama, to drag up them corpses, to clean out them pipes, to purge out the, the consciousness from all that does not serve thee, has been for the purpose of bringing you to this point where now there's this expansion. You're ready to grow and leave behind all those limitations and fears of the past, and to step into a new gateway, through a gateway which is yourself. You are the only gateway that you can enter through into the higher dimensions. That gateway ain't outside. It's not some building in some place that, you know, you walk through that door and you magically get transported to some other timescape. Talking about the gateway that you are. So you're the only doorway you can enter through, and you're the key that unlocks that lock to that door, you know, and you're the only one that can walk through it. So we all have our own gateway to that other dimension, the higher dimensions of the inner planes of consciousness within ourselves. Capricorn is representing a mountain, the mountain within ourself, not the mountain outside of yourself. Things outside are like metaphors for the internal, the interior realm. So you can reflect back onto yourself to examine as you go into that deeper quest to know whom and what you truly are. Because the veils have lifted, the veils are dissolving between that, the spiritual and the non-physical and the physical. Okay, the invisible and the visible. All right. So this year coming to its close is saying, what are you bringing forward in this new cycle? It's not about having to have all the plans and everything right now. Oh, I got it now. Yes, you know, and hammering things down, ready to kind of build something. It's really more of, rather than what can you use to obtain your, instead of what can you use to obtain your ambitions, yeah, which is what Capricorn can also represent. It's more on the inner planes, how can you allow yourself to be used as the vessel for your higher self to navigate and direct your life towards the fulfillment of those desires that are in alignment with your higher self, with your soul. So it's how can I be used as a vehicle for higher consciousness, which is your soul. Your soul is your higher self. And Capricorn is about the higher ascension within ourselves as we go through the stages that it takes for self-mastery. And what we're here to master as aspect of ourself is our vibrations. So when Saturn conjuncts Pluto, it's going to be this culmination point where, okay, the judgment has been served, and it's like the decisions, I should say, on a deeper level, consciously or unconsciously, has been made for you're making that decision. So now it's about your vibration. Nothing like, as I said, about the outside when we're dealing with the external and how the systematic, manipulation and oppression of consciousnness. None of that is going to be able to be kind of used as the common denominator, you know, like the decider, like, because it's about waking up to your inner power, knowing that your vibration is what it's all about. And the things that have been happening this year, the intensity of it, and you can see that the vibrations were very high this year because time has just moved so quick. You're at the end of the year already. And some folk can't believe it. They just think we're still in like maybe 6 months. It's like, no, man, you've done a full round, completing itself in a way that we perceive the annual yearly festival, okay, as a new year. Well, we're moving into 2020, which is Judgment on the major arcane card. Judgment, what does that mean? What does that mean? The ultimate judge is the one is ourself, because as Kyio was mentioning about, we all realize when you're on the frequency that everything is pivoting around your self-concept. This is where it all pivots around. When you realize that your self-concept is either coming from the exterior, history, narratives, what others have told you, what you believe to believe, then that's going to be shaping the belief system, the emotional patterning, the mindset, the way you interpret life, and therefore how you experience the experiences you have, But when you realize that the central core is all about your self-concept, and that is it coming from within, or is it dependent upon the surface media, what's popping, what's the latest trend, to line yourself up with. Because all of what's going on, what's taking place at these amplifications of supernovas, cosmic energies coming out from the galactic core, coming out from different galaxies. I mean, we have cosmic support here in the form of energy, intelligence, higher group souls. When I say higher group souls, higher soul groups of aspects of ourselves that has already traversed these lower densities and have reached that wholesome, balanced vibration of equilibrium within themselves, to realize fully more who they are and their relationship to source directly, are also sending energy to assist, but they can't do the job for you. None of these forces can do for you what they know. All they can do is encourage you to do for yourself. The assistance will only be that of energies that assist in activating what is already there within you. You're the one who has to cultivate. You're the one who has to fan the flames. You know what I mean? You're the one who has to embrace that deeper quest as a love. I could say a love theme. As a love joy, as a devotional, as a sacred mission. You could even put it that way, because love is a frequency that vibrates at 500 hertz. But the thing is that the actual feeling of the love we're talking about that vibrates at 500 hertz in consciousness, in the scale of consciousness, is actually reverence. It's not that surface I love, it's the deeper I love. It's the deeper I reverence of the soul that is felt for life itself, for all of life, because life is the essential essence within every form. The form is the vehicle. And a lot of us can be very about the form. You know how many people can even be about the form of someone, the way that someone looks, but they don't know. They don't even know what that individual's favorite color is, or they don't know the inner being, the inner worth or value or uniqueness of that individual. They're very more on the form, you see. And this is why Deep Quest, could make a movie called Deep Quest. Instead of dealing with going into deep outer space, the Deep Quest is in inner space. And okay. All right. Let me. All right. But you see that all of this year has been a preparation to take that dive, take that leap, take that jump into the unknown, into the abyss. That's how the ego's going to be like, oh my gosh, You need to hold on to, fear to grab and limitations to be familiar with. But all the harder you hold on, the tighter you squeeze, the more forceful you will experience the tearing away of what is no longer relevant, necessary, or useful in the sense of not serving you. So this show this evening about the new year is about a new cycle, and how do you really want to go into it? A lot of people are thinking about making New Year resolutions. How many people have been doing that? And if you notice, it's mainly always around something very physical and earthly. You're gonna go on some new diet.
I think this.
Okay, come back in here. Yeah.
I think this New Year's kind of different. I've been scrolling. I've been seeing some New Year's resolutions that acknowledge that it's not a New Year resolution. It's just a continuation, but
Yeah.
it's more the aim for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
More. So it's more like goal setting.
Mm-hmm.
What's your aim? And each one knows for themselves what that's going to be. But this whole New Year vibe, just when you're talking about things being like, I don't have a template to process that.
Yeah.
New Year's to celebrate a new year. I understand the concept of it, but to actually do it, I don't see any reason, because there's more things, there's other things to celebrate, there's better things to celebrate.
Well, it's interesting when you're saying the plan setting, the goal setting, ambitious. I mean, it's Capricorn, and Capricorn, all these energies is in that Capricorn, and wherever Capricorn is in your chart, the house that it is in, this is the place that's going through some great transmutation and intense growth and development and serious change. And where that area also is where things that are to remove from you to be removed, relating and correlating with that area of your life, that these energies are activating. This transit, is activating those energies. So where these transits are activating these energies in your life, with Jupiter, the Sun. We've now had Mercury. We have Mercury now has entered into Capricorn. So is expansion of your thinking.
Do you think
Expansion of your mind.
Could be experiencing any physical symptoms?
Yeah, because this stuff does manifest physically in the bones, in the need to feel like, gosh, I just want to sleep. I want to stay in bed. You're not feeling to get up and go-ish. You want to be out there. You want to be more inward. And you may not feel you have that energy to do the usual stuff you may have done. Because you're dealing with a feminine sign when you're dealing with Capricorn. You're dealing with all earth signs are feminine. Earth and water are feminine signs. They're receptive. They're inner. Just like an earth receives the seed that is planted within it. The growth emerges from within the soil, out, from the seed that is planted and is emerged in the soil. And the water is receptive, water is fluid, water is reflective. You can look and see your reflection in a clear pool of water. Water is water isn't really conductive, it's the metals in the water, but water is the universal solvent. Water is the fluidness of energy. So water is about the feelings, and is also about spiritual sensitivity, spiritual awareness. and the emotional power of, so it's that feminine, what takes you inward, what makes you reflect, going in the womb, all that's feminine. Feeling, not reacting, but observing the feelings in the interior of your vehicle, within inside your consciousness, observing, taking that inner reflection. That's all the feminine. That's all the feminine. All the feminine. Feminine healing energy is actually about observing and really feeling into whatever comes up, without thought, without judgment, without condemnation, in order for the feeling, the emotions that are coming up to be purged, to be transmuted, to express itself and to be cleared, which means one has to be open, receptive, allowing, still, and just the observing witness. And because emotions can be very intense, and especially if they're of the traumatic kind, disturbing, painful kind, the pain body being activated, they can be, strong things to bear. Hence why the feminine process of healing or path is difficult for even women, because a lot of people don't want to observe their emotion, state. They don't want to observe the feel of their interior landscape, in order to allow the water to flow and not be impeded, so running water remains fresh and clean. When water is backed up and become kind of surrounded, encapsulated, is a breeding ground for why you get swamps and stuff. You know what I mean? So the feminine is the earth and the water. And therefore, people would be feeling, with Capricorn, as I said, an earth sign, it's about going within. It's like you're gestating this new sense of self. And there's going to be expansion in your mind, Your mind ain't going to be so narrow, because you can't carry forward the old limitations and fears of the past, which is where Saturn and Pluto is going to be letting you know that. Say that again?
You can try.
You can try, yeah. And you're going to see this really reveal itself on a more for public arena when you deal with the politics, especially what's going on in America. And you're going to see how the old tactics, the old strategies, the old ways in, trying to shut things down and still get away doing what is being done. Those stuff ain't working, All of those things are falling away. So this stuff's going to get exposed. You can't move forward with the old. All that has been built on the old foundation. And we're talking about going back 500 years, 508 years, since we've had Saturn conjunct Pluto. So we're dealing with an energy that you may not have been able to use or do much with it back then. 500 years ago, you're talking about slavery. Yeah? You're talking about feudal slavery and chattel slavery and, all mannerisms of atrocities done to different people. And by another set of people. For self, to serve self at the expense of others. That's the path they chose to work down. So we've experienced the whole theme and what that does. And now enough's enough. That's why the energies that are coming in are not the energies that are supporting the old cycle. The energies that are coming in now are supporting the new. So everything is new. Everything is about the new you. In a sense, it's the true you. but it's going to be experienced as like a fresh, brand new experience. So yeah, so the difference in how we've gone through this year, reflect back, and now look into yourself, and this whole planning and so forth, it's not necessarily the plans for what the ego aspect of you would have made before. It's more of what is in alignment with your soul, because it's the deepest satisfaction, which is your soul satisfaction, that you are here living for. So this is why you can see it requires a lot of purging from all of outmoded states. Now, a lot of people talk about ancestors, man. And again, we're dealing with beliefs and not understanding that, well, you're your ancestor. You carry them all within you. But you're the healer of whatever they'd ever worked on before. You're the one who's to transmute and transform all the limited beliefs, all the limited desires that led to the choices, which led to actions, which led to experiences that our ancestors had experienced, which we carry in ourselves as trauma or skills and abilities that have been mastered, that we've inherited. But in order for you for oneself to be able to utilize all of that, what one can benefit from, you have to clear out all of that which you no longer can bring forward with you. And therefore, when people talk about ancestors, and we have gone through various different people coming here with different through different ancestral lineage, mixed ancestral lineage. It's not just one ancestral line. That's, majority of the people can say, yes, I can trace my ancestors back because I know my great-great-grandfather, my great-great-great-great-grandfather, and they have all of that records and all of that. No, listen, man, a lot of people don't have that. So some folk don't see the impracticality and the non-reality or the delusion in the way they approach this idea about ancestors. And with some folk, they think you're disrespecting the ancestors and all of that. And they don't realize that all they're doing is turning the ancestors in another externalization of gods to worship, separate from themselves. And you have people, well, I wouldn't be here without my ancestors. No, you wouldn't be here without the source of life, because the source of life made it possible for all those prior to you to even be here to have an experience. And therefore, if you're going to deal and give thanks to the source, then give thanks to the source. Okay? The original, creative source, okay, of your being. So ancestral things can come limited because ancestral things, you got ancestral curses. So you got people turning around chatting stuff about, we got to call upon our ancestors and we are in the image of our ancestors and all that type of stuff. I just feel that, well, what about those flipping ancestors? As we know, in a family, you got good and bad. And all of them will be your ancestors. Okay? And they've done, good and bad things. And there you are, inherited. Yeah? You're the inheritor of what's being passed on through reproduction, through genetic, inheritance, congenital. This is how you get your things. And we're carrying things that actually, not all of that is what is of our own making, right? So this thing with ancestors, when you look and understand that you're a soul and that you've lived prior lives, then you've lived so many lives that you've become your own ancestor. You have people who come into this realm and they look like, great-grandfather or someone, and they're related to them, a great-grandmother, how many, like going back three generations. And who do you think that could be? They think that's not the same soul, okay, that chose that vehicle, chose that lineage to come through, which is why they look like that very ancestor. But they don't realize that that is them. You see what I mean? But when you come in here, 3D, people can ask, well, if we've lived in prior lives, why don't we remember our prior lives? Well, part of how this whole evolutionary and the universal intelligence is set up is that when you come in this realm here, 3D, you're in a veil of forgetfulness. So you forget who you are. But here, the time we're in now, this veil is getting thinner. So there's going to be more recall. And this is what's being activated within ourselves, where this knowing and this knowledge of like, wow, you're just going to, some folk are just having instant changes. They're just changing. Like, hang on a minute, they're no longer that individual that they were last 5 years ago. Because this is how deep what's coming online is, It's what's coming online from dormancy. So you're coming from the unconscious to consciousness to become fully conscious, okay? So there's that process of what takes place to purge, to clean the pipes so you can be clear. So 2020, we're moving into what they call clear vision in optic language, the optical languages. 2020 vision is clear vision. That's clear vision of yourself. It's about alignment and balance, 2 and 2, 4, okay? To be balanced, because it's not about extremes, it's about the wholeness and balancement of yourself. And you're going to see extremes expressing itself out there because everyone's playing a part, whether they're conscious of it or not, to transform this whole system and the way we've been experiencing life and so-called reality up to this point. And you're going to have resistance and you're going to have allowance in the sense of those who are resisting the change and those who are allowing it. But this all takes place inside of you. This is the key thing to understand, because if you don't, then the reactionariness of what you see outside is going to draw a lot of people into acting from trauma wounds that they should have been healing, reacting from the identification with what the exterior has given to them, when they should be dropping all of that and go for the deep quest, okay, to wake up to the power of self-definition, the knowledge and the knowing that comes from within through your inner connection to source, not outer connection, inner connection, which takes place through stillness and the desire to align to the unity state of yourself, which is synonymous with the force we call love, which is reverence for the most high, or the inner eye, the deep inner eye, which is the most high of thyself. So, new year, you're coming into, so a lot of things are going to get more intense for 2020 energetically. And who falls? Those who to fall are to fall. Those who are to rise, because it's all based upon the choices we make, okay? The decisions. So, and to make better choices, you would want to be looking at the bigger picture and seeing how that smaller picture fits within the bigger picture, so you can relate to yourself in a broader, wider context. And that bigger picture has always been synonymous with the cosmic, universal, or multiversal cosmic picture. Cosmic context. Your relationship, the cosmos and I. This is the 2020 vision of clear vision, clear sight, insight to align with. So the plans one sets in motion are in alignment with their soul's desire. So this I will give you as a little forecast for my way of wrapping up this 2019. And coming into 2020. And I say 2020 is judgment because I did say earlier that I correlate this. The years from 2000 to 2021 with the major arcanes of the tarot card. And this is not something I made up. This is something that came about through others I know and other people who I don't, who have, through their, through their knowledge, through their experience with these things, these tools, have come to see that correlation. So having insight myself about these things, I then took that on board and said, okay, let me see how that matches up for myself so I can, verify the validity of it, of my own. So I've done this, and it does correlate. So what I mean by that is, now anybody who knows tarot cards, understand that the tarots have, that you'll be familiar with the 21 or 22 major arcane of the tarot deck. So if you start from 0, which would be the Fool card, which actually represents choices and new beginnings and, trusting in the inner guidance, your intuition, as you step off of that cliff. That's why they say it's like the Fool card, because you don't know where you're going. But actually it's about new beginnings and returning to absolute zero, to emerge out from the all and allow the all to guide you, So that's the Fool card. That's 0. And then you get the first card is the Magician card. And then you get the second card is the, Priestess. So when I say the 0, you're dealing with 2000. 2001 would be the Magician. 2002 would be the Priestess. 2003 would be the Empress. 2004 would be the Emperor. 2005 would be the Hierophant. 2006 would be the Lovers. 2007 would be the Chariot. 2008 would be Power, the Lion, inner strength, or things relating to those themes. Each year was relating to the themes of those major arcanes. 2009 was the Hermit. This is dealing with looking within for the light, and dealing with also Virgonian aspects. So 2007, major changes. That's the Chariot. I moved. 2008, Power. I ended up having a new place and was moved into more of my own power as I began to make decisions to distance myself from certain activities where certain groups and certain things I used to partake in as a drummer and as a teacher, and I just began to want to move away from those groups, be more on my own path, because I saw the limitation in it. And so that's 2008, 2009, going more deeper within yourself to seek, the deep quest, the deeper expansion within yourself as you're growing and individuating yourself from organizations or a life that was, you was having before. So when you look through these years and you align them with the major arcane, you see that 2010 is the Wheel of Fortune, 2011 is Justice, 2012 is the Hangman, 2013 is Death. And when you deal with 2012, we had the end of the Mayan calendar, and that was like, when you deal with the Hangman, it's about, he's turned upside down. So you're dealing with basically certain rites people do to deprive themselves of, certain things in order for themselves in order to go deep within themselves, to get a deeper inner guidance. Okay, so that could be the adjustment, and there was the adjustment that 2012, right? Arcane number 12, major arcane tarot deck. We at the end of the Mayan calendar, so end of a cycle, and then we've had from there to now 7 years of what that new cycle has been bringing in with the new energy. So 2012, 13 is Death, 2014. What was I said? 13, 14, 15. 15 is the Devil card. That's materialism, being the awareness of being too attached to that, and the change and so forth. What happened for you in 2015? Okay. So, you know, it goes on. Then you get 2016's the Tower card. So, you know, sudden destruction, also illumination, throwing you out of certain places that weren't good for you. Seemed like sudden, you know, destructive endings and stuff, but actually it was an illumination. Could have been experienced in that way. So, you know, 2017 is the Star card. 2017, yeah. 2018, when you're dealing with the 18 tarot card, which is the moon, which is dealing with the unconscious, what was going on, and the emotions, and a lot of stuff coming up from the unconscious to be purged, a lot of ancestral things, because this ancestral stuff is deep, yo. So it's not like just one wipe clean. It's like, you know, you do it bit by bit because it's some deep stuff to clear it out and heal. And so, you know, you come to 2019, which is what we are there now, which represents the 19 represents the Sun card, and this year has been very illuminating. Yeah, very illuminating and very intense and very sudden, really intense, sudden transformations. You know, stuff you just got you just out the blue things, you know, that type of stuff. A lot of things to process this year. A lot of intense emotional year. And it's getting even more. Okay? 2020 is judgment. So judgment now is where on that card it's like, you know, you see the dead resurrecting. Well, it's like that which is hidden in the dark is all coming out to light. You're going to have also the whole law of cause and effect, that which has been done in the darkness, that has been at the expense and the abuse of others, all of that's going to come to light, and the judgments are going to commence on that. Also, the darkness can represent what's growing in the dark, something powerful and potent and beautiful and magnificent, yeah? All of that, and that's getting ready to emerge also. So, which is the expansion of you into the grandest, greatest version of yourself. So, yes, it's been emotional, it has been tearful, it's been traumatic, it's been laughter, it's been friggin' funny, for some serious funny things, seriously, has been going on, has gone through this. Some, you know, people, you know, dear to, passing, you know, they're letting go, making that transition. A lot of that was going on as well. Comings and goings, you can say. So it'll be about comings and goings in all different formats that you've been experiencing in this year, and very intensely based on the emotional attachment or fixation or the relation that you're having with the situation. So, you know, so yeah, I'm not going to really be about, I would say not just Happy New Year, I would say happiness as a state of being, not just for this year or the next, because this is the reality we want to wake up more to, expand more into as we step out away from this illusion as it dissolves. And it only remains the more you participate in it, okay? Because it doesn't have the power as you think. It's the power you give to it through not knowing the power you have. And where attention goes, energy flows. There's a truth in that statement, you know. So, all you Capricorns out there, you know, ones who are egocentric, I'm sure you've been getting boxed up. And then those who have been letting go of that egocentric and aligning more with their soul, then you being getting the rewards of that. And everyone really, because who's been going through what they've been going through this year, I would say those who deserve a round of applause, I give you a round of applause, including myself. There's those who still being stubborn, like as a goat, um, to be so caught up on the exterior, they're not observing themselves, and they don't see how they're creating their own, the contents that's manifesting as the contents of what they've got in themselves. And people are just playing roles in their hologram. So if that's you, if that's what you're doing, well, it's just saying, look, you can't continue that way. You can if you choose, but it's not going to profit you nothing. What does it profit a man's soul to lose it for folly? You know what I mean? Yeah, Dennis Brown sing that lyric there in Stop the Fussing and Fighting Children, that tune there. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Don't lose your soul for folly. Yeah, and you can't really lose your soul, but it's like don't lose sight of the true you. Yeah, the deep I, the soul, your higher self, for folly, you know, cause a lot of things that, you know, people are drawing other people into, or who are emotionally reactive, is to get catch up in a folly. Yeah, folly. And yeah, ain't got no room for that myself, you know, talking for myself there, ain't got no room for that, no space for that. So soul growth is what this whole year has been about, and what this whole experience on this plane has been about, actually. Your soul's growth. Mm-hmm. Your journey through the human condition in order to transcend it. Okay. So, yeah. So I'm not going to stay here till midnight, y'all. So I would say, and just thanks to Kyio, who was here. He's gone now to do something. His contribution, you know. He's speaking from the generational vibration. He's off the peer group between 25 and 30s, middle 30s, 33, 32. And yeah, you know, you've heard what he said and shared. So, you know, it's basically step forth as a new, with the new sense of who you are in 2020. Let your aspirations be that which reflect the higher self of you, which is your soul, which is whom and what you truly are. As the value systems people are carrying are also going to go through a big major shift and transformation, because you got Uranus in Taurus, yeah. So the way you're going to relate to yourself, okay, is going to transform. It's all about expanding your consciousness and moving forward with that bigger picture. No longer the contraction, fear-based, you know, beliefs and pictures and ideas. We have to expand and not contract. Love, not fear. You see what I mean? So all those contracting beliefs, fear-based beliefs and concepts and projections, none of them can move forward in this time. They have to go, and they will be destroyed. And it's not about putting fear or saying negativities, because that's silly, you know, to take things like that, because you got to deal with both hands and also what stands in the middle in order to have a holistic view of yourself and of the time we are in. So, yeah, I can wish you all, and being all, that's self-included, a grand, great new year, and not just for the year to come, but for all the rest of one's sojourn on this plane, to be uplifted, soul satisfying, soul nourishing, you know, for all hurts to be healed, wounds to be, dissolved over, and the past, which does not serve you, to be forgotten, in order to make room for the light of consciousness that you are to emanate through your mind, emotional body, energy system, heart, and physical form, to be in holistic well-being, which encompasses one's spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical quality of life. So that's the resolution from eternal source. I would say for the new year wishes that I am sharing and conveying. So on that note, to all my soul brothers and sisters, the beautiful souls, the powerful, strong ones who are in the race with endurance, and all that's metaphor, y'all. The race, because it's not a competition, but it is for those who can endure, rather than those who just into swift, quick, fast results. It's about endurance. Endurance. With endurance, you develop maturity, strength, and staying power. Okay? So it's about those who can hold the vibration they desire and attune and choose, and to stand in it. The light and the love and the light of one's true nature, one's true being. Regardless of what the outer situation may look like, you endure by standing in the higher vibration of your soul, the light and the love and the light, wisdom and compassion, wholeness and balance vibrations of your being, to win this here battle. So on that note, I'll bid you all a great shadow hour and a wonderful eternal source blessed new year. All right, adios, y'all.